Hey everybody, welcome back to the finals of the RedBull Heroicks qualifier number 2. This week we're going to have ADA in the finals up against Fighting for Dreams on the Radiant side. And this will be hopefully a really good match here, as last game went super long but was very close. Both sides certainly had the ability to take it. But in the end, ADA won in about a 70-minute game. Was certainly difficult to cast, but was enjoyable nonetheless. And we're going to get into the bans right away as ADA going to ban out the Faceless Void. Elder Titan going to be removed by Fighting for Dreams. I might end up calling him NEL Boys just because I'm going to be really hard pressed to remember that due to the name change. But regardless, Terrorblade also going to be taken out of the draft, not too surprising. And we'll have to see what NEL Boys remove. And I would not be too surprised to see either Shadow Demon take out, but we're going to see the Beastmaster removed, so I think that certainly makes sense. As, yeah, not really sure how this draft is going to turn out. We're going to have ADA with the first pick on the Dire side. Certainly would not be surprised to see some sort of Shadow Demon pickup. Could see a Dazzle. We've been seeing a little bit of Dazzle here and there. We could see an Invoker early on, but I think teams are kind of shying away from the first pick's Invoker. Could see a Timbersaw, certainly. Ricky Maru available as well. Should F for D decide to go that route. Ricky Maru kind of a nuisance as of late. Timbersaw also might struggle to deal with that. You could go Ricky Maru as well as the Tidehunter. Would be an interesting choice, I would expect. Could go, let's see, Shadow Demon. Okay, so they are going to go with a Shadow Demon, and they'll probably look to find a partner here, or they might just wait. Luna obviously comes to mind. Drow Ranger also available. Very common pickup now. We're seeing her a lot more as we saw last game. Could see the Shadow Demon Drow. Could see the Shadow Demon Furion. Could see Juggernaut. Would be decent choices all around. Could see something more like a Tidehunter, like I said. Could see a lot of possibilities here. Certainly Ricky Maru also available in the pool. Could go for a Ricky, which would not be the worst disruption choice. After all, Ricky illusions do have backstab, so they can help push out the waves. But we are going to see the Mirana, so a very typical Shadow Demon setup. A little bit of a flex pick coming out for F for D, as that does mean that can be a poor Mirana or a support Mirana. Both certainly work with their drafts so far. Probably would not be surprised to see it be a core, just because core Mirana, Aghanim Scepter, pretty nuts. But obviously the other side can be true. Mirana just as good playing the roaming game, playing the shoot arrow, hit arrow game. And in the end, we'll have to see is ADA look to find a response here. They're going to need to pick some very safe lanes here. Phoenix obviously still in the pool. Could see that. Could see Dazzle. Could see Oracle as a counter in effect to the Mirana. Can get the Purge off. But we're going to see the Lion instead. So that kind of rules out the Oracle from both drafts. Could see a Ricky ban here from one of the sides. But could see a Jerk as well. Wouldn't be surprised to see that from the Radiant side. Taking out the Juggernaut here. But that would kind of remove a hero that they might want, so you never know. Have to keep in mind. They are going to take out the Juggernaut, so yay me. ADA. Probably going to remove a 1 position as well. Could also remove an offlaner like a Tidehunter. Could remove a Wisp. Maybe. They're going to take out the Luna, so another pairing with Shadow Demon. could take out... Not sure. Death Prophet going to be taken out by ADA, so want to... Or by, sorry, F for D. So want to make sure that maybe no counter push is ready to go. Also, Death Prophet can be pretty tanky. It might be hard to bring down with just the arrow combination. Anti-Mage going to get taken out. Black, obviously a hero of his. And he can do very scary stuff with that hero. So not too surprising that gets removed. And I'm excited, man. I get to commentate Black, which is really cool. And I'm super hyped about it. And yeah, we're going to have to see how they look to draft around it. ADA. Still waiting on their last pick. Both teams needing one position. ADA probably needing a mid lane and another support. Timbersaw could play mid, depending on the matchup. If you feel confident enough that he can sort of tank up against whoever he's against, and you feel like there's not going to be enough rotations in the mid lane, then Timbersaw works alright. Seen that a couple times from some pro teams. Mid one, I believe, ran that a couple times from Fnatic, and did pretty well with it. So obviously I think it's a more situational run of the hero, but you could make it work. As we're seeing a bit of a reserve time decision coming through. Morphling actually going to be the pick, so another really great Shadow Demon pairing. Some people were saying that it might actually be one of the best possible pickups here from the... Or it might be like the second best pickup alongside Terrorblade for the Shadow Demon. So Morphling certainly makes sense. Meanwhile, ADA sitting on their pick. Not sure what they're going to go for. Could look to some sort of a... Yeah, I don't know. It's certainly going to be difficult to draft around. They're going to pick up the Rubik. So maybe trying to steal the arrow. Morphling, obviously, if you can steal Morph, it's great for Rubik. You can take away all his useless agi and turn that into strength, so gives him a little bit more tankiness, which is something Rubik can always take. The Null Field is decent, helps deal with Mirana, got a little bit of a buff here as well. I believe it's 10% level 1 now, which is good. You can take 1 point early and not feel like a total scrub. So that's always good, especially against a team like this, where you're going to be having a lot of magic damage coming from the Starstorms, the Shadow Poisons, whatnot. But we're still waiting to see. Now F4D look to finish out their draft. Looks like both cores have possibly been finished up. Again, that could still be... Yeah, it's actually going to be a support Mirana. There we go. Invoker going to be picked up here for the Radiant side, and ADA might have been duped here in the draft. Might not be sure where this Radiant side is going to stack up, or at least now they probably do, but they might not have before that Invoker pick. And let's see. Weaver going to be the pick here, realizing not a lot of targeted hard crowd control coming out from the Radiant side. A little bit scary versus Invoker if he gets a really good Tornado EMP off, if he goes Quas Wax, if he goes, if he gets a Orchid that can be decent against the Weaver. Might put him in a bit of a sticky situation. Might also be very greedy here up against the Shadow Demon draft, which is scary, especially with the Timbersaw. Greedy offlaner. Weaver, relatively greedy safe laner. You kind of want to pick up a couple items before you really get going. Drow Ranger going to be the removal here, which I think makes sense. Weaver would have been probably in the safe lane and maybe Drow in the mid. But either way, could have been a pretty good pick for them. Seeing, 4 ranged heroes. Drow loves that stuff. But we're still waiting for the last ban to come out from ADA. Looks like an offlaner. Going to be the call here from the Radiant side. As F4D could go for a Tidehunter. That'd probably be my pick. Rubik, a little bit hard to steal Ravage. So, not as bad as, say, like an Enigma. Obviously, if you can get like an Aether Lens, it's not that bad. but I think Tide could be okay. You could go for maybe a Broodmother. We haven't really seen that today, but a Brood might really be able to dumpster this tri-lane that we're seeing here, the Rubik plus the Lion plus the Weaver. Not really going to be able to deal with the Brood Mama. Meanwhile, Weaver. Yeah, I mean, we've seen a little bit of Weaver here from some teams, and a lot of times it's just, can you get those couple items? Weaver and Morphling kind of fill the same role. One item's kind of meh, two items, eh. If you can get that third item, you're kind of set, especially against a team that really struggles to lock you down. But, you know, gonna be very scary for this Weaver up against the Shadow Demon Mirana combo. He gets a disruption, free arrow, Starstorm comes in, get the damage amplification, couple points of Shadow Poison. You're not going to be able to Shikuchi your way out of that. Sunstrike, you know, a lot of combinations. We're actually going to see a Necrophos coming out from ADA, a hero we don't really see all that often. And, okay. So, yeah, I mean, okay. I can dig it. I like Necro. I don't know how well it's going to function here, as Shadow Demon can kind of plaster you. And we're going to see an offlane Sand King, so I think I saw this a couple times in a couple recent pro matches where we've seen offlane Sand Kings, and we'll have to see ADA going to have to be on their toes here, realizing how they want to try and combat this. As, of course, going to get kicked out, just reborn things. And yeah, this is going to be a really interesting lineup that we're seeing. I don't know. I mean, you know, from a skill perspective, you probably have to give it to the Radiant side. Just, you know, you got one of the best farming carries of all time, playing on a really split push heavy one position, who can do quite a bit of work here. And on the other side, you know, it's a little hard. I think the fact that you have a one position that naturally builds the Lincolns and can naturally get really tanky in the Morphling. You have a Sand King who's mobile and can get out of a lot of stuff. You have the Shadow Demon who's going to be able to help himself out. I don't know how easy it is for this Necrophos to really function. That's going to be the thing that scares me is, did my... not sure what happened there. But it looks like my config sort of changed. That's kind of spooky. But regardless, we are going to get right into it. Well, once we get this pause underway, what else is a final of a decently sized qualifier for not having a pause? But regardless, like I said, we'll get through it. Nova, going to be picking up the Rubik this time. Hef, who was actually in the Elder Titan this game, going to be picking up the Timbersaw. Funky Space Party will be holding on to the Necro. Chair Raider going to be, again, picking up the Lion. Dive like Killa, this time going to be playing on the Weaver. And this side, for the Radiant, we are going to have RMN picking up the Shadow Demon. ASDF going to be playing the Invoker. Black holding on to the Morphling. EDE picking up the Mirana, and Jabs looking like going to be picking the off-lane Sand King. And that's, you know, I think that'll be a really cool pickup here. I don't know. We'll have to see how it functions. It might have just been because of the pause. Who knows? But regardless, pretty excited to watch this game unfold. We're going to have a couple smokes actually picked up here by both sides. And it's nuts. Looks like we're going to have a potential evade here. As Lion going to be holding on to one. Going to have one smoke on the Shadow Demon. I swear to God I saw another smoke get picked up, but it might have just been a unbuy and whatnot. But, or he might have two, but whatever. We're going to have the smoke come out. Looks like we're going to have a potential counter smoke here. No, not quite. As RMN going to lead the charge here. Jab's not too far behind EDE with the arrow. Might run into the Lion here. It's going to get spotted out. Cold Feet ready to go. Or Cold Snap rather. And this is almost assured. Is the arrow going to get connected? Chair Raider once again. First blood going down, and going to be a pretty easy kill going the way of ASDF. And good start. Mirana EDE going to get off to a very clean level 1. RMN going to get some very deep ward coverage here, and that'll help secure a little bit of the safety for the mid lane, as Lion certainly has the potency to rotate. Rubik, not too bad either at picking up those return kills, and it looks like it's actually going to be a Timbersaw mid here with the Weaver in the off lane. So, potential dual lane situation here. Nova going to be joining his bro. Not quite sure here as Nova's actually going to rotate in the mid, try and get a deep ward here onto the high ground. Meanwhile, Invoker going to be able to get a decent block off here. Looks like it should be pretty even going through. Range creep is going to escape, which means lane might actually push towards the dire side. Good for the Timbersaw. Significantly less good for the Invoker. Does have Quas though. Actually top lane. Did not expect that. I'm going to see the aggro tri-lane here as Black going to secure the kill. On to the Lion once again. Possibly overextended. Might not have realized just how aggressive this was going to be. And Jabs, meanwhile, going to be securing some decent experience in the safe lane for the Sand King. As top lane, RMN, again, leading the charge. Going to put a little bit of poke damage onto the Necrophos. And this is going to be what looks like a very difficult lane for the Morphling, or for the Radiant side. ADA might be giving it up here on the backside, actually. RMN just rotating around, waiting for the tower dive to bear fruit. As Black going to push the wave in. And going to try and do what he can to push the wave out with the Death Pulse. But Black ultimately just going to try and keep the wave pushed up. Mid lane going alright, actually bottom lane. A lot of damage coming out onto Jabs here. But for now, the key really is going to be how this top lane goes for both sides. It's the aggro tri-lane. If it fails, could be very risky here. That being said, EDE going to throw out an arrow just to get a little bit of farm going. Doesn't want to be completely farmless for too long. And Black just going to go ahead and farm up, sitting at 10 last hits already in an aggressive tri-lane. Mid lane not going much worse, as the Invoker leading the way at 11 last hits, 2 denies. Jab's actually just going to be stealing the large camp here as well, just to try and secure some farm for himself. And he's also not doing too bad, 4 last hits for a 1 versus 2 Sand King. SDF going to take up another salve here. And Hef just looking to try and get a couple points in the reactive armor, just going to bully out the Invoker, who is going Quas Wex. So looking to maybe rotate around a little bit more, try and be a little bit more of a nuisance. Also going to be picking up almost assuredly the early Orchid to really help deal with the Timbersaw as well as the Weaver. Certainly feel like that might be the right choice here, top lane. RMN once again looking to pick up a kill, trying to find something, some disruption here on the Space Party. But to no avail quite yet, as ASDF, Chair Rider, not sure if he's in vision. As, yeah, not sure. Does have the air spike, does have the hex. And that could lead to a potential kill here on the Invoker. Does have Ghost Walk, obviously, ready to go, but just invoked, and actually was a swap. So, regardless, this is going to be a bit difficult. And actually, here we go. Chair Raider trying to get the courier, and that will fall. That's going to be a courier kill, so very well orchestrated here. Meanwhile, bottom lane Jab's actually taking a lot of damage here. Nova might be able to find Sand King, but it's going to be very difficult. He's actually going to walk in, tank up the creep wave, and Jabs will be okay for now, as Lion rotating around the backside as well. And overall, pretty decent sized farm lead for F4D, fighting for dreams, but regardless, the courier kill certainly will help and will bring the experience lead back down towards the dire side. And ADA looking for Jabs on the Sand King. They do have detection actually on the Lion. I thought I saw it. Nope. Nova does have dust, so that's going to be where it's coming from. Jabs needs to be careful here. Hacks does come through. Ice. not going to be able to find him as Nova a little bit slow on the rotation, and Sand King just going to dip his way on home. Realizes he is outnumbered and outmatched. Not able to get the lift off in the Earth Spike. Only could do so much. Might have been able to save a second on it, not quite sure how well he was going to be able to stack that crowd control. But regardless, dive like hella. Looking like he's going to be moving towards a medallion, or probably a diffusal blade rather. Not quite sure, both are decent on Weaver. Meanwhile, mid lane, Timbersaw actually doing okay. 16 last hits compared to the 23 of the Invoker in a lane that he's probably expected to lose. Meanwhile, we're going to have the Sand King rotate back down, and here's going to be a big rotation coming out from RMN. Scan does come through. They're going to spot out the Rubik here, but yeah, they're going to find him. Not quite sure. No, they're just going to continue out onto the Weaver. Not sure. Do they have the detection here? Stun. Arrow is going to latch. Shadow Poison is going to be enough, and actually EDE going to secure the kill once again. A well-orchestrated gank coming out, and at that point it's just execution as ASDF going to again be pressured under tower and is really struggling to force this Timbersaw out of lane, and that's kind of the beauty of this matchup. Timbersaw, one of the few melees that might actually be able to really contest, especially if he's able to get a couple levels secured. And Black is actually doing still just fine, leading the way in 37 last hits, 21 denies, up against a dual lane. And that's just really scary for the Dire side, as if the Morphling is doing that much on his own. Novat gonna get hit up by the Tornado. Cold Snap also ready to go. Gonna hit on Hef. TP was canceled. Might have actually been able to follow through on that, but instead just gonna give it up for now. Gonna be content with just backing off on the gank. And actually Chair Raider might be well out of position here. Black able to dodge the stun, well orchestrated by him. And right click's gonna go back onto the Lion here. And needs to be careful. Waveform forward, going to pick up the Lion, and here comes the Rubik. But does not have enough mana for a lift unless he uses the Mango, and Black just gonna TP himself home. Meanwhile, bottom lane Jabs continuing to get free farm here, and Caustic Finale gonna help push out the waves quite a bit. As RMN just gonna help him out, and this is gonna lead to decent damage onto the T1. As Killa moving into the jungle here. And Half also just staying stable like a Timbersaw should. Is not really getting pushed out, but does have the Chakram, so can look to go aggressive as we have seen before. Shadow Demon might actually be able to get the catch here. Chair Raider also in a bit of a weird position. Nova. Shadow Demon on the backside. RMN just playing Ring Around the Rosie here. And will be able to walk himself back to safety. Might actually be able to get a really sneaky angle on particularly the Morphling. Or not the Morphling, on the Necrophos here. As here comes the Mirana as well. Looks like Jabs is going to be the target of aggression once again, but was spotted out by the ward, and he should be able to make it home safely. Meanwhile, RMN top lane is going to force out a rotation here. Disruption going to come through. Stun successfully latches, and the waveform should be enough. Yep, going to successfully find that. Dive like Killa, trying to go out onto the Disruptor. The Shadow Demon is going to be able to find that kill. So Weaver going to pick up one. EDE next in line, but Weaver will not be able to find that kill, certainly. As the Beetle's doing just enough damage, just enough armor reduction to help secure the kill onto the Shadow Demon, so a good return kill. I like Killa doing a good job dodging the arrow. But so far, 5 kills to 1 in favor of F4D. And it's not exactly clear what ADA need to do to try and bring this game back. They're really banking off the Timbersaw, just try and bring this game back. A couple Reaper Scythe kills, but again, that was nerfed in 688. Upping the damage certainly, so those first kills are, I guess easier, quote unquote. But certainly not going to pay off as much. And Arrow going to connect onto Dive like Killa. He's going to take a lot of damage here. Star Call will be enough to bring him down, and actually Black going to be credited with the kill. Lincoln Sphere coming ever quickly. As Black's sitting just about to finish up the Perseverance. And ASDF mid lane Just finish up the urn. Tornado, EMP, gonna connect onto the Lion and bring him very low as Necrophos gonna fall in the bottom lane to the Shadow Demon. And did have the help of Jabs, was forced to use the Epicenter, but certainly worth it in that case to keep the Necrophos dead for quite a while. Meanwhile, top lane Black just continuing to farm it up and is actually just living in the Dire jungle now. And unfortunately, there's no members of this Dire side who can really do anything about it. No AT, Lion also just easy pickings. Nice disruption, gonna come through. Jabs does have the Sandstorm ready to go to help supplement the damage, and the EMP will sap all of the mana here. And just a little bit of mana left. Jabs not quite able to get it off, as the Burrow Strike not quite in time. Meanwhile, top lane, pretty much the focus here is that's where both sides are just looking to farm up, and Black sitting at 70 last hits, 27 minutes. And net worth wise, about 5,000 gold in 10 minutes. Is doing a pretty monstrous job of getting ahead and staying ahead, and that pretty much surmises the team net worth advantage, as that's pretty much all Black. About 5,000 gold and about 5,000 experience in the Dire favor, in the Radiant favor. Is bottom lane actually Jabs is going to fall most likely. No, Burrow Strike gonna get him out as Nova tried to be cute with the Sandstorm instead of just going for the right clicks, and that means the Sand King will live on. And mid lane, ASDF able to pick up the Timbersaw in what is looking like an ever downward spiral for ADA. Well, Nova AT gonna try and do what they can after losing the surefire kill. Is like hell. Might be in a bit of a sticky situation here if he's not careful. RMN pushes forward, wants to try and find a disruption. Necrophos gonna get spotted out here, or at least the remnants of a Necrophos. But the block is gonna come through by RMN, who looks like he's gonna try and rotate around. Deep's Deserve Ward is gonna spot out any sort of retreat from the Weaver. But the wraparound is going to come through, and that's the Sakuchi down for 4 seconds. Needs to be very careful. RMN looking for the disruption here, and the Shadow Poison not quite going to latch. Like Killa needs to find his way out here. Echo Saber going to be the choice, I believe. Not actually sure what Killa is looking for. Meanwhile, Black going to be pushing forward. Demonic Purge gonna come out onto the Necrophos. Arrow also latches. Black could push forward with the waveform, but instead Tornado EMP is gonna connect onto the Timbersaw. He has no more mana. This could be very bad here. Blink forward. Star Call is gonna come forward, but a nice two-man Burrow Strike by Nova is gonna bring down 2. And 4 seconds. Waveform ready to go for the Rubik here. Black gonna take quite a bit of damage, but actually this time the Morphling going to be replicating the Rubik, and no crowd control to bring down said Rubik. Black forced to morph a little bit of strength here. Does have the waveform available. Adaptive Strike also online. As Black needs to be very careful here. Going to start morphing strength to stay alive as much as possible, but wants to keep his agi as high as he can. Waveform forward. Choke is not sure what the hell happened there. But, oh, he just TP'd to the T2, or the T1. Jabs. Arrow does miss somehow. Demonic Purge will probably seal the Weaver's fate. He is going to blow up 3, 2, 1. Yep, he will fall, and that's going to be a double kill. Going the way of the Shadow Demon, who is doing a decent job leveling up 7 minutes in. And here comes another one. Adaptive Strike online as well. Blinks forward. Nova, you are not going to be so lucky. And he morphed Agi. So, a bit of a misplay there, as he's going to maybe regret that in the morning. RMN looking to find another one. And mid lane actually, ASDF able to pick up one. Invoker, Tornado, EMP, pretty good skill set. Black gonna rotate into the mid lane as well. And this should be another T1 on the backside. Half just trying to find what little he can to keep this game alive. And Black with the double damage rune gonna secure another T1. No T1s left to go. Jabs actually RMN going to get brought down by the finger. Jabs. Nice blink. Will be able to find his way home, and Lion going to go down as well to the Demonic Purge. As the Invoker rotates through, looks to try and help out. But we're going to have a quick pause here, Sand King. Might be lagging a little bit, not sure what's going on, but regardless, let's take a quick look at the items and the progression so far, both teams. As to no one's surprise, F4D sitting at a pretty commanding lead, 1,200 gold lead, 12,000 gold lead actually, in their favor, only 14 minutes in. Meanwhile, sitting at about a 10,000 experience lead, and so far, itemization certainly going their way as Invoker almost done with the Orchid. Sanctity, Black rather, going to be finishing up the Lincoln Sphere in just a matter of time, just needs the Ultimate Orb, should have that done in just a couple seconds, just needs to pick it up. Shadow Demon also doing alright, and EDE starting to work towards the Aghanim Scepters so he can turn into that fourth core, so to speak, and Jab's also not doing so bad. Blink Dagger has been completed on the safe lane Sand King. That being said, on the dire side, ADA looking much more grim as Rubik trying to desperately finish up the Aether Lens. Half still miles away from any sort of a Bloodstone, or quite frankly, any parts of the booster. Nova is going to fall. Arrow is going to connect here, and that will be... No, actually, Rubik able to make it away. Caustic Finale does not connect, or does not kill. And that'll leave the Rubik to walk away with less than 100 HP. Meanwhile, Black just looking to split push. Does not have a replicate out here in Space Party. Get a TP in, but will not find anything. Meanwhile, EDE Arrow is available here. It's Jabs. Blinks forward. Burrow Strike. Arrow connects. Once again, Star Call will be enough to secure the fate of the Lion. Meanwhile, bottom, or below, rather. I'm like hella. Gonna get disrupted up. Caught right in the middle of the Scoochie. He's gonna be able to get out just fine. Demonic Purge gonna come through. The Weaver Illusions are going to town. And that's gonna be an Epicenter coming through. Nice dodge on the Burrow Strike by Nova. And that'll allow them to live for just a little bit longer. Meanwhile, Black, bottom side, continuing to push forward. And should be able to secure the bottom T1 in just a matter of moments here. As ultimately, Morphling just going to go ahead and split push for most of the game, looks like. We'll have to see what his item progression looks like after this, if he's going to go for maybe a Desolator. Could go for the shotgun build. I feel like that might be the play, but I don't know. I don't know how sure that is. As Nova going to push forward. Burrow Strike onto the Invoker. Going to get lifted up. Hex as well. Earth Spike going to come through, and that is going to be a kill onto the Invoker. Not able to get the Ghost Walk off in time. As Black continuing to go to town on the T2, and the top lane EDE going to town on the T2 as well. Meanwhile, RMN on the backside looking to just secure the push should they need it. And we're going to see a big rotation here. Nova with the Invis Rune, Smoke up as well. Does have Arc Boots available in just a matter of time here. Choke. Black actually with the Lincoln Sphere. Needs to be very careful. Not enough mana for the Hex. Going to get lifted up. Chakram going to come out. Does not quite connect here. But Waveform should secure his fate. As Nova not able to get the steal here. Not able to get the Waveform. Jabs in the background. Could look to turn here. Nice stun onto two members. As Sentry going to get thrown down once again. Tornado. EMP going to get lifted up. Going to do huge damage onto three members. No mana for the dire side, and they're going to need to try and scuttle their way home if they want to be safe here. Otherwise, we could see a potential reinitiation here. Shadow Demon pushes forward. Arrow not quite going to connect. Barely misses. And a T1 is going to fall in favor of the Dire. So a good trade for ADA and a glimpse of hope coming through is F4D giving up a little bit of their advantage. Now sitting at about 12,000 gold in the lead and about 8,000 experience. So a decent turnaround there by the Dire side, but they're going to have to bring a couple more of those together if they want to try and make this happen, as this is certainly an uphill battle. Nova does have the Aether Lens, so that will help their cause and maybe give them a good couple spells, maybe pick up an Epicenter or whatnot. Needs maybe a Blink Dagger or a Force Staff to really bring that about. But Chair Rider also doing okay. Hef now starting to get his items to come together. Might see a smoke here. Finished up on the Courier. Veil of Discord also ready to go on the Necrophos. Just waiting for level 11. Still hasn't actually gotten the Scythe kill, and that's largely just been to not being at the right place in the right time, and unfortunately, just Necrophos not really in a position to finish off these kills. So hasn't really found a need to use it. Meanwhile, Chair Raider still, like we mentioned, struggling to get his itemization going. Dragon Lance also going to be finished up. So, miscall on my part from the itemization here, but I guess it's just going to be a casual Blightstone for now. As we are going to see another smoke. And I think they really want to try and get a Scythe kill here onto black. Waves forms forward, and that could actually be very dangerous if they catch him out here, but they will not find him, and they're going to see the chase here as Disruption going to come through, and they could actually look to bait out a couple of these illusions. They're going to see 3 illusions. That might be where they look to try and aggress here. Jabs going to get him with the cold snap. And actually, black able to secure a kill here. Nice Tornado EMP is going to connect onto 2. And that's going to be no damage left for the Timbersaw. He will fall on the backside. Meanwhile, Drive going to get stunned up once again on the backside. Black will survive with plenty of HP through the Reaper Scythe, and he will go down. Like Killa going to need to try and find his way home, and GG going to be called. As F4D going to push on, being the winners of the qualifiers in very convincing fashion. Sitting very pretty. And we'll have to take a look. I'm going to do a quick look-see here on how that's all going to work out going forward. I believe they might have to have a playoff for the teams moving forward to the actual LAN event. Or it might just be that each of the 4 teams are going to move forward here. And it's going to be the winners of the qualifier going forward. And so congratulations, they'll be pushing forward on to, I believe, the winners bracket. But overall, really fun game. Really glad I got to cast it. Really glad I've had this chance to share this afternoon with you guys, or this evening, I guess, for you guys in Europe. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you have any questions, I'll be keeping around for a couple more minutes as the stream looks to catch up and runs out. But overall, you can check out my information and call me Coach on Twitter. Really appreciate any sort of feedback, any sort of comments, any sort of support from you guys. But overall, really enjoyed it. Really hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks again, and peace.